Hi guys, so I thought I would do kind of a quick flip through of the Inktober book that I made. I decided to end up changing up how it was. For one, because the Inktober sketchbook that was very kindly gifted to me by Emily, the paper was bloody awful. I'll put in a clip of it, but I was just banging my head against the table when I saw it. I was like, oh my god, this is appalling. The paints are nice, the paints are really nice. But I ended up kind of Frankensteining up the sketchbook and putting together all of the different pages that I ended up doing and kind of lacing them together. I know it's appallingly done. It's the first time that I've bound a book together. But it works. It's stuck together. It's not broken yet, so that's something. And yeah, I thought I'd show you through my kind of Frankenstein sketchbook of Inktober's. And yeah, just kind of quickly flick through how I did these things. Maybe put in some of the different process videos as well, so you can see each of the different stages that kind of got there. But yeah, the way that I created this book is I kind of separated it up into 3 ideas. Thank you, Emily. So this beginning part is a collection of all the sketches that I did in September. Before Inktober started, when the prompt list was out, I just started sketching ideas, kind of formulating what I wanted to do. I didn't really keep to an order, just kind of, if an idea came to me, I would sketch it out. And the way I did all of these was digitally. I did it on Procreate. So I'll show you a quick idea of how that file turned out, just so you've got an idea of what I did. So what I did is when I started in September thinking of ideas, because I really wanted to get there kind of early and not stress myself out, especially with the big move happening. And I just started sketching out ideas. So for Sliver, I began thinking about this character, and I would separate it in colour and by layer, just so I had an idea of this is the background, this is the foreground, and just to kind of help me imagine what I was doing, because I knew I'd be doing it in black and white. I didn't really want things to get too confusing. So yeah, you can see I played a lot with the ideas and with colours, and these are where, if you see the Inktober's, these ideas came from. It gives you kind of an idea of, what was the initial sketch like. And after I had these all sketched up and as ideas in Procreate, I printed them out to the correct size that I wanted to do so that I could do them on separate sheets of paper. And yeah, I just began taking these onto light boxes and drawing over them in ink. I mostly just used ink using fine liners and washes of ink in brush pens. I didn't use any other different colours, I just used black. And that was kind of a little bit of a test, but also to kind of keep things simple. The second I go into colours, then I'm starting to think like what colours are going to work together, how to create nice shading. So this was me and all my weird little sketches that I had together. I just thought, let's keep a copy of these so that you can see, you know, how these things look when they're bare bones, I guess, and give you more of an idea. Things don't come out like perfectly straight away, and I think that especially with Inktober, you can get into a bit of the fallacy of things have to be perfect, especially when you only show the finished product on the day. And it's like, oh, day, perfect, isn't this person amazing? And it's like, meh, I don't know. This is my I am not amazing book. I did loads of work before it and they still turned out meh. But, you know, why not? It's a lot of fun taking part in these challenges, so why not do it? So I thought I would just quickly flick through the final pieces of how they turned out traditionally. So like I say, traditionally I just stuck with ink and I took those sketches, I put the light box underneath here, and then I would just sketch them up about an hour, kind of force myself not to do too much. And I'll show like the finished version over here at the same time. But yeah, so this would be the crystal one. Here is Suit. You can see here that bleed there. Oh my goodness. That was one of the things that made me really want to do it digitally, just tidying up stuff like that. Here we have Vessel. Knot. This was kind of the idea of a Gordian knot, so that's why she's got a sword. But these are just for fun, you know, because why not draw bats? This was for Raven. This one's for Spirit. The idea was that this would be more opaque. That was one of the nice things to do with washes, just to build up layers and play with opacity a lot. I think that was quite a fun thing to do this month. This one is for Fan. This was Watch. I don't know if you can see it, but we've got our little snitch. She's a little seeker. This one for Pressure. This is kind of like a flick back on Mermaid and looking at that idea. Because I didn't get to take part in it this year, I kind of took a chance with Inktober to do it. This one is for Pig. This is Sour. Again, I was trying to play with the idea of foregrounds and backgrounds with that one, because, you know, we were about 2 weeks in, so why not? This was for Stuck. It's very heavily inspired by the Secret Garden illustration I did quite a few years ago for Childhood Week. This one was for Roof. This is Tick. Got a helmet. This one was for Compass. I really like this one with the different hatches. I had a lot of fun this month playing with hatches and just finding different ways of filling in spaces and zones in the art. This one was Collide. It didn't work as well as I hoped, but I wanted that to be a continuation of the last piece. So here she is dropping her compass. This one was for Moon. It's kind of inspired by The Little Prince. This one was for Loop. I kind of wanted to go with a funny idea. I don't know why I drew so many mirrors, by the way, it just happened. This one was for Sprout. I love drawing this little mandrake. I like to imagine that it's some kind of wizarding school, like little herbology class. This was for Fuzzy. I love drawing this little character. He was very fun. I like the idea of having such a teeny tiny fuzzy owl. This was for Open. I really like doing this. I kind of wish that I'd done it a lot bigger. So I do revisit this digitally, and I think that this is one of the pieces that I'll definitely turn into a colouring book page for people. This one was me messing up and getting orange paint on it. But yeah, this was for Leek, and I like the idea of her drinking it up. Hopefully it's not poisonous. Hopefully. I drew it. It's not poisonous. It's perfectly fine. It's milk. Okay, this was for Extinct. I love drawing this one. This was one of my favourites. I knocked this out in like half an hour, this sketch. I don't know why, I just love drawing dragons and bones and I just loved it. This was for Splat. It's kind of fun. This was kind of a revisit of the Pokemon piece I did a while ago for Prompt Squad. This is Connect. I think this might be my favourite of the whole month, and I think that's the one I'll choose for Prompt Squad when I make that video. This was for Spark, and I like the idea of kind of doing a remembrance and a little shrine in Nara Deer Park, and maybe having our little witch, you know, feed them some nice food. This is for Crispy, and if you are a fan of Ghibli and Howl's Moving Castle, you're probably going to recognise my version of Calcifer here. And yeah, I just wanted to have a bit of fun with kind of a Ghibli-esque like universe. I don't know, I like the idea of making some giant fish stove and you cook in its mouth and having the little dragons around. I just thought this was like a fun idea for an illustration, so that's what I did. For Patch, I wanted to kind of look at the idea of which brownies, so I've had an idea of like what patches would you earn at which brownies. I like to think about that idea. For Sliver, I mean, I couldn't not do a snake, could I? I mean, it just had to be done. I ended up filling up this area digitally later on, but yeah, this was mainly this idea of snakes and chrysanthemums and, you know, these kind of classical tattoo ideas, so I didn't want to go too heavy with washes or with too many layers. I guess I wanted to keep it as line art as much as possible. And finally, for Risk, this is kind of like bookends of Inktober. For Inktober's starter, for Crystal, I wanted her kind of going towards something. This one we're kind of going away from it because we're at the end. So I wanted two kind of almost parallel illustrations. So maybe they don't have the same character, but it's kind of two sides of the same coin. I don't know if that works, but yeah, this was the idea that she's kind of like taking over as a risk and she's gonna, you know, go off the cliff, I guess. Yeah, that was all of the ink pieces, like the finished ink pieces, and now I'll just quickly go through how they all look digitally as they were finished. So I decided to print out how they looked on Procreate, but I'll also put the images again so you get an idea. So I would just take everything into Procreate, clean up the lines, and then, you know, add some colour. And I could play around then and think about what I wanted to do for different colours. And I really kind of restricted myself with colour palettes because I didn't want anything to get too loud. So I kind of tried to stick to just one colour whenever I would add it. So the rest would just be black and white and one colour. You can see here I was able to tidy up those lines for Suit. And for Vessel, this one's got a little bit damaged as it was printed, but I think it still kind of looks kind of cool, that. Makes it look like it's coming through. And this is not, I really like doing this one and bringing in different translucencies for the window. I thought it was a good bit of fun. And as for Raven, I just kept that as the only red part. For Spirit, again, you can see I was able to tidy up and create those different layers a bit more strongly digitally. And we've also got here for Fan, just kind of had that bit of her making it blue. I really wasn't sure what to colour in on that one, but I kind of like how that one turned out. For Watch, sometimes I had the idea and I knew exactly what I was going to colour in at times, and Watch would have been one of them. And this, I was kind of the idea of like neon tetra, of doing something. It's one of the few ones that has multiple colours. And again, kind of the multiple colour one for Pig. I really like how this one was, and again, by doing layers I was able to differentiate the cats a lot more than I was able to do traditionally. And there's the translucency again with the potion bottles and the colours. For Stuck, I really went darker with this one because I'd always kept my layers light. I really wanted to just make everything in the dark. I'm not sure how well it worked, but kind of fun to play with levels, especially when you're doing so many, why not? And this one is from Ruth. Now, I think what I'm going to do is cut in the process here so that you can see how this got finished and made. So I'm going to insert that now and you can see how this was actually done. Now back, we've got Tick. I really love how this one turned out, as I said. And yeah, I really didn't want to take way too much from what I'd drawn, so I just coloured in the little pieces, the little cat and the witch. And for this one, again playing with those translucencies, and it was just such a nice thing to be able to do digitally, to pop out certain characters as you go. This was for Compass. Again, I added shading on the faces and stuff, which was a nice way of bringing in other textures without having to stray away from ink traditionally. So I used a lot of like coloured pencil textures in Procreate for those. And for Collide, again, just trying to tidy up some of the lines and build up these different layers, and I could bring in just very faint amounts of yellow to make them pop. Here we have the moon piece. I kind of think that went a little bit too colourful for me, but yeah, I like how it turned out. And this one, I like the idea of something fading through and looping and connecting the two for that. The Sprout, I actually did a few colour variants of this when I was working on it in Procreate, but in the end I wanted to just stick with green and not make it pop too much. I wanted it to pop because it was white, not because it was coloured. So that was kind of a reversal of the idea. And for Fluffy, I mean, you had to do the eyes, didn't you, when he's that grumpy? You had to do it. This piece here is for Open, and again, I think I'm going to include the process for this one here, so you can see how I picked out these, I tidied up faces, and how I created these different layers and thought about light, especially when I was working digitally. So I'm going to insert that now. You can see how this piece was made. And following from there, again, these two pictures like collide and compass are connected. I wanted to kind of bring this idea into another piece, so I had to play around with the different idea. I don't know why I made it blood, a bit scary, but yeah, I just thought it was kind of cool. And again, playing with these layers to make this in darkness so it's not as obvious as it was traditionally, and making it as if there might be something inside the skull still. What's he going to find, eh? For splat, I kind of wish that I'd gone brighter colours with this, but you know, you live and you learn. I like drawing the little paw pads too, I thought that was quite cute in the end. Like I say, I do love this piece, but I'm going to put the process of it in the Prom Squad video, so if you would like to see how this one was done, I will include it there, and once it's out, or whichever's first, I'll make sure to link it so that you can see how that was done. And for spark, like I said, I just wanted that spark to do there, and I thought while I was colouring it in, I'd only done those, and I thought it'd be nice to make it look like it illuminates the lamp above it too. Crispy, I mean, you had to do that part, didn't you? It had to be. And again, I've got the background process for this one, so I'm going to insert this here so you can see how this one was made and how all those different layers were created. And from there, we've got patch again, because the patch was the main bit of information. That's the only part I really wanted to highlight for that one. So I tried to keep it simple whenever I could. And finally, we've got sliver. Really, again, it was kind of hard because, like I say, I wanted it to be more tattoo-ish. So I didn't want to go too colourful. So I tried to keep it quite simple. And lastly, with risk, because of that idea of them being bookend pieces, I did want the colours to be the same as well. So that's why it's a nice pink there, so that again, they're kind of reflections of each other, and they're almost like the bookends of this whole challenge, like they're all together. And that's it. I've got the whole list there in the back, which I stuck in. I used some washi tape just to finish it off. And that is it. Inktober 2021 is done. That's how it turned out. I hope you liked seeing how this all came together. I know it's kind of random and there's like bits here, bits there, you know, I make a sketchbook, I show through the sketchbook, I've got processes, blah 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 blah. It gets a little bit manic, I guess, it's all a bit crazy, but I don't know, I just thought that's kind of how it is with these challenges, isn't it? You kind of go back and forth, you think of this idea, you go this way, and especially with this one, I was sketching, then there was the stage of traditional, then there was the stage of digital. It's all kind of been like that anyway, so I felt like the video should be a bit frenetic too, I guess. As frenetic as it was to do, let's make the video that way too. So yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed seeing how all of this was made, and yeah, you'll have to let me know if you did Inktober. I want to hear about your thoughts on it this year, how you felt with the prompts, if you followed it, or if you followed a different prompt list, what did you think of that? Did you do it in a sketchbook? Did you do it loose? If you did it loose, are you selling them? Or are you going to make it all for yourself? I decided, you know, I might do the princess sales. I think I might do colouring book pages from some of these. I think some of these would be quite fun to colour in. So I'll put a link to my shop if you do want to do any of these as colouring in sheets. Or, I mean, you can always let me know as well. If there's something you think, oh, that would make a good one, or I would like to see that as a print, or whatever, just let me know. I'm happy to accommodate whatever your interests and your comments are. I'd love to know what you thought of it. But yeah, that's everything. I really hope that you enjoyed watching this and that you're all doing well. And I really enjoyed watching everyone's Inktober. So thank you again, everyone, for taking part. It was really good to see. So I hope you'll take care of yourselves, and I'll chat to you again soon. Bye, guys.